So fresh fragrances, I would say that those are probably my favorite fragrances to wear, especially with me living out here in Las Vegas. For most of the year, our weather is like 70 degrees and above. We get maybe 2 or 3 months where, it does stay below that. But for the most part, our weather is, for the most part, 70 and above. So because of that, I can definitely say that I do have a lot of sort of fresher, citrusy type of fragrances. And, here coming up, probably I would say within the next month or so, we should be consistently getting, over 70 plus degrees every day. So what I have here is going to be my sort of top 10 list of beast mode freshies that I have in my collection. And just to kind of start everything off, I'm going to start off with Scentual Obsessions version of YSL Y's EDT. And I did kind of, mention this fragrance a few videos back when I compared this to Fragrance World's F Eau de Parfum, which is their take on YSL Y EDT. What I mentioned was this was definitely the better performing fragrance, but the Fragrance World version, I would say, is the much more sort of accurate, take on that, particular scent profile. This comes off as being a lot more sweeter than what the original YSL Y EDT does. I would also say that the texture of this, in my opinion, is slightly thicker than what you get with the original YSL Y EDT, and the opening is not really the same at all. So in YSL Y EDT, you kind of get like this, like really sort of chemical, sort of aldehydic type of smell from it. Whereas with this one, I feel like you're getting kind of like sort of like a sweet sort of citrus type of smell in the opening of this fragrance. So some may like the opening of the Scentual Obsessions version more than, what they would the original. But definitely, again, in terms of the performance, this one is definitely beast mode. It definitely, projects a lot better than what the original and the Fragrance World version do. And also the longevity is a lot better as well. So, I mean, with this one, you're looking at least, I would say, about 10 hours or so of total longevity. At least that's what I got with this one. The Scentual Obsessions YSL Y EDT, whenever I wore this was something that I didn't have to like reapply during the day or anything like that. I would spray this on and, by the end of the day, it would still be on me and you could still really smell it. All right. So I'm not sure if Kevin still carries this on his website or not. I would assume he probably does. But, definitely if he does, I would say check this out for sure. Because this is a very good rendition, I would say, of YSL Y EDT. Just again, keep in mind, it's not going to be the most accurate. All right. So again, this is Scentual Obsessions YSL Y EDT. All right. So the next fragrance is going to be Hawas Ice from YU.Z.U. And at first, I would say mainly because of the price that this was going for, I was kind of not really impressed by this fragrance, but as I, wear it more and more, as I smell it more and more, and as this seems to get stronger, as time goes by, I do think that this is a little bit better than, what the original Hawas was. This just definitely, it has a slightly more crisp, sort of edge to the fragrance that I feel like the original Hawas doesn't have. Now they do definitely smell very much alike. So, again, about 85 to 90% close or whatnot. But this does edge, the original out, in my opinion, a little bit more. Now, also, I've seen plenty of people complaining about the performance of like the newer batches of Versace Hawas. I've never experienced one of those newer batches because the bottle of Hawas that I had was, like a 2017 bottle or something like that. So that was like one of the original sort of formulations of the fragrance. This performs just like that one. I would say, if not slightly better than, what the original Hawas does. In my opinion, this one has a little bit better projection than what my old bottle of Hawas did. Now that could be that, that fragrance was starting to kind of fade and fall off over time, which is, what fragrances will eventually start to do. But yeah, man, this one, I do enjoy this one a lot. And just like the original Hawas, I get complimented on this almost every time I wear it. And this is going to be a fragrance that, it's going to last on you all day long. It's also going to be one that's going to be strong enough for you to be able to wear pretty much in any sort of weather. So whether it be, the highest heat of summer or the coldest cold of winter, you're going to be able to wear this. People are going to smell you and you're going to smell amazing. So again, definitely if you're looking for a really nice compliment getting beast mode freshie, then I would say check out Versace's Hawas Ice. All right, so going back to Scentual Obsessions, I have their version of Wood Sage and Sea Salt by Jo Malone. And this was also a fragrance that I really, really enjoyed a lot. Now, I haven't smelled the original from Jo Malone. I think I do actually, though, have a sample of Alexandria's version of Wood Sage and Sea Salt. And just like, the YSL Y EDT version from, Scentual Obsessions, this smells sweeter than like what the Alexandria version does of Wood Sage and Sea Salt. But I feel like overall, you kind of get like the same sort of feel. Like I said, this one is just a little bit sweeter and denser. And the opening doesn't smell exactly the same either. But pretty much with this one, you are going to get at least, I would say, at least 8 to 10 hours or so of, longevity with this fragrance. This was another fragrance that, whenever I sprayed this on, it pretty much would last all day long. And, it kind of I would say it radiated off of my skin. This one definitely projected, I would say, even more than what the YSL Y EDT did from Scentual Obsessions. I don't know if it's just the nature of, this particular fragrance. It comes off as being like really sort of fruity, but yet at the same time, slightly kind of soapy and herbal. I would say it leans a little bit feminine. So if you're not really into that, then I would say definitely steer clear of this one. But in my opinion, it is pretty unisex. Like I said, it does come off as being really kind of soapy and clean, but at the same time, really sort of expensive smelling and elegant. So this one, if you're looking for like a really sort of fresh, clean, but at the same time, slightly kind of fruity, sort of, fresh scent, then I would say absolutely check this one out. And again, this is Scentual Obsessions version of Wood Sage and Sea Salt. All right, so the next fragrance, this is going to be from Fragrance World, and this is actually a fragrance that was sent to me for free by Salim at Banadir Fragrance in one of the fragrance hauls that I got from him. And this is Aqua Pura from Fragrance World. So this is Fragrance World's take on Orto Parisi's Megamare. And this fragrance it's gotten a lot stronger, I would say, from when I initially got the fragrance back in, like, I want to say October is when I got this. So it's had some months to kind of sit on the shelf and sort of maturate. And definitely this is going to be one that's going to last on you all day. So I would say, at least 8 to 10 hours or so is what you're going to get with this fragrance. This doesn't smell, I would say, as complex as what the original, Megamare does. I would say, it definitely is missing that sort of heavy emphasis on kind of like that seaweed and lemon that you get from Megamare. But it does come pretty close, I would say, especially for, a cheap sort of fragrance like this. I can't remember exactly how much this costs. I'll have links to where you can buy all of these fragrances in the description. But I mean, I believe this fragrance goes for, I don't know, like $30, $35 or so on Banadir Fragrance. So not too much at all. And this is like a 80 ml bottle, I believe. So if you are someone who does enjoy Megamare from Orto Parisi, but you don't necessarily have the money to go out and spend on that fragrance, I do think that this is a pretty solid alternative. Again, it's not exactly the same as, Mega Mare. You definitely are losing out on some of the complexity, and I would say the quality isn't as good as what you get with Mega Mare, but this is still a solid clone of that fragrance for sure. All right. So if you like, sort of, I would say really kind of ocean forward, that's the best way for me to kind of describe this. This is like a really sort of ocean forward, seaweed sort of, aquatic style fragrance. Then definitely check this one out, Aqua Pura from Fragrance World. All right, so the next fragrance is, I would say, definitely one of my favorite fragrances in my whole collection. This is Fragrance World's take on Louis Vuitton's Imagination. And this is from their F.A. Paris Fragrance World line. This is Essence de Blanc, all right? So initially, when I first got this fragrance, I would say that it wasn't as close to Imagination as what it is now. I would say after probably about 2 to 3 months or so, this got nearly identical for the most part. I'm still really debating on whether or not I want to go out and actually purchase a full bottle of Imagination. There are some slight sort of differences between this and Imagination, but I would say pretty much once you let this sort of maturate for a couple of months, it really becomes hard for you to justify spending the $320+ for the original Louis Vuitton, over just pretty much keeping this fragrance. I would say the main differences that you're going to get with this are the sort of green tart, sort of citron note that you get in Imagination. That does seem to be a little bit more prominent in the Essence de Blanc, and it does stick around for a little bit longer, in my opinion, than what you get with the original Louis Vuitton. But I mean, it's very much like a minimal difference. And, again, I'm going to say this is at least about probably 95% close for the most part to Louis Vuitton's Imagination. I know right now this is a little bit harder to find, but I would say once this comes back into stock, typically this goes for like around $40 or so, and this is for a 100 ml bottle. I think that that's absolutely worth the price, especially for how close this gets to the original Louis Vuitton. So also the performance on this, amazing. I get 10 to 12 hours or so of total longevity on this. Really good projection as well. So this is also, again, another beast mode performing fragrance. And again, this is going to be Essence de Blanc from F.A. Paris Fragrance World. All right, so another fragrance from Fragrance World. This is Y.U.Z.U from Fragrance World. And depending on, I guess, what site you go to, I believe Frag Bar has this listed as being basically like a combination of Louis Vuitton's Imagination and Guerlain's Le Frenchie. Haven't smelled the Guerlain, but I can definitely say I really don't get really any sort of Louis Vuitton Imagination vibe from this at all. So honestly, I believe that this is just kind of like a original creation pretty much from Fragrance World. But pretty much what you get with this is you get like a really sort of bitter tart yuzu and lemon, in the top notes. You also get sort of like an underlying sweetness from this fragrance as well. But I would say the main thing that you're going to notice with this fragrance is a really kind of heavy emphasis on like a dry sort of vetiver. I don't know if vetiver is actually a listed note in this fragrance, but you do, at least in my opinion, get like a heavy dose of vetiver, which kind of adds to like, sort of like the green sort of vibe that you get, as you can see with like the juice color in this fragrance. This is also one that it has sort of like, even though it seems like it's going to be like a really sort of light, fresh, type of fragrance, this really has some density to it. So this is one that you do want to kind of, be careful with how many times you spray this one, especially in the summertime. But this is going to be strong enough to where you can wear this one pretty much all year round. And it's going to be strong enough to cut through anything for the most part. But again, with this one, performance and, you know, in terms of the projection and longevity are going to be beast mode. Projection, like I said, if you're not careful with this, you're going to give yourself a headache more than likely. And in terms of the longevity, I mean, this is 12 plus hours easily. So if that's something that you're looking for, you know, like I said, a really sort of tart, you know, fresh, slightly sweet, slightly dry, sort of, you know, citrusy type of fragrance, then definitely check this one out. Again, this is Y.U.Z.U from Fragrance World. Next one up is going to be also from Fragrance World as well. This is Posh Sirius from Fragrance World, and this is their take on Parfums de Marly Setli. So this, like I mentioned before, is Setli on steroids. It smells just like Setli, but just, I would say, if Setli made kind of like an intense version, or if Parfums de Marly, you know, made a intense version of Setli, that's pretty much what this would be. So this has, I would say, the lavender and the mint turned all the way up to 10 pretty much in this fragrance. And I mean, I would say quality wise, it is pretty much the same as Setli, pretty much. You know, obviously, like I said, you get a heavier emphasis on those two notes, the mint and the lavender, but it doesn't smell cheap or anything like that. This smells exactly like Setli, except it just pushes a lot more. And definitely it lasts a lot longer as well. With Setli, I was getting like about 5 to maybe 6 hours with that one. With this one, you're going to get at least, I would say, 9 to about 11 hours or so of longevity with the Posh Sirius. So if Parfums de Marly Setli is a fragrance that you really enjoy, then I would say definitely look into getting this one, because this one performs beast mode, like I said, and just straight out of the box. No sort of maturation needed or anything like that. This performs amazing fresh out the box. So again, this is going to be Posh Sirius from Fragrance World. All right, so the next fragrance is going to be from Alexandria Fragrances, and this is, I would say, probably one of the reasons why I haven't really bought the original fragrance from Creed, and this is their take on Aventus Cologne, and this is Brasilia Cologne. So this is a beast mode version of Aventus Cologne, man. This is going to last on you all day long, and it's going to give you that sort of blast of mandarin orange that you get, you know, from the original Aventus Cologne, while still giving you that sort of, you know, kind of fresher Aventus type of vibe that you get. I would say more of kind of like a unisex sort of version of Aventus. I do prefer Aventus Cologne over Aventus now anyway. I think I didn't necessarily prefer it over the original Aventus when it first came out, but as I've worn that fragrance over the years, I can definitely say that I do prefer Aventus Cologne over Aventus. So that's why I have this one, man. And I mean, every time I wear this particular fragrance, I'm getting over 12 plus hours with this, with like really heavy projection, I would say, at least for like the first 2.5 to 3 hours or so. So that's pretty much why I haven't really used, I guess you could say, a lot of this fragrance, because this is one that I really don't have to spray that much. And whenever you do wear this, this is not a fragrance that you have to reapply or anything like that. This is going to last on you all day long, pretty much. So again, if you're looking for a beast mode version of Aventus Cologne, I definitely recommend this one for sure. Again, this is Brasilia Cologne from Alexandria Fragrances. All right, so next is going to be the newest fragrance that I have, and this is going to be from the house of Barara. This is Barara's King. So this is like a slightly more masculine take on Aqua Pura from Xerjoff. In my opinion, the vanilla and the musk is toned way down. And I would say the woods are turned up a little bit in this fragrance, which kind of adds, sort of like a masculine vibe to the fragrance. Also, I would say in the opening, the citruses seem to be a lot more sort of juicier, and less sort of synthetic and dried fruit smelling, which, sort of makes the original fragrance, in my opinion, a lot more feminine smelling as well. So really enjoy this one. You get very good projection, I would say, for like the first hour and a half, 2 hours or so. And then longevity wise, this is going to stay on you at least about, I would say, 8 to 10 hours or so for the most part. So not as beast mode as what the original Aqua Pura is, or something like Ana Abied or, you know, Al Haramain Gold Edition. Those would definitely be more beast mode than what this would be. But this is still a very, very, you know, good performing fragrance, I would say. And, you know, again, in terms of like the projection and longevity, it does seem to be pretty beast mode, at least on my skin anyway. All right. So if you're looking for, I would say, a slightly more unisex or even more masculine leaning version of Aqua Pura, then definitely check this one out. Again, this is Barara's King. All right, and then the last fragrance on the list, man, this is also going to be from Fragrance World. This is their take on Aqua Celestia, and this is Bearcat Aqua Stellar. All right. So Bearcat Aqua Stellar is basically, it is Aqua Celestia, I would say, on steroids, just kind of like how Posh Sirius is. This, I would say, I don't necessarily get like a overemphasis on like certain notes necessarily in this fragrance. It seems to be as balanced, I would say, as what, you know, Aqua Celestia is, but just everything is just turned up a few notches for the most part. The projection on this definitely is louder than what you get with Aqua Celestia. And then in terms of just the overall longevity, you know, you're getting, I would say, at least a couple hours more than at least what I get with, you know, Aqua Celestia. Aqua Celestia, at least on my skin, after a few hours comes really, really close to the skin, whereas this one definitely has a lot more push than what that one does for sure, you know, after that same amount of time. So definitely, I mean, if you're looking for like a really sort of tropical sort of, you know, that's the best way for me to kind of, you know, describe the way that this smells. This smells like a really sort of tropical type of drink that you would probably drink. That's the way that I could kind of, you know, describe this. Kind of like a, I would say it gives me kind of like a mojito vibe or mimosa. Yeah, like that's pretty much what you get with this one. And it's kind of like you're drinking that walking down like a beach or something like that. That's the best way for me to describe it. You're drinking like a tropical drink, walking down the beach in the daytime, sun is out, you know, like that's the type of vibe that you get with this. It does lean feminine in my opinion. So, you know, if that's something that you don't necessarily like, then I would say probably steer clear of this one. But in my opinion, this is definitely one that, you know, both men and women can wear for sure. All right. So again, definitely check this one out if you want a slightly more beast mode version of Aqua Celestia. And again, this is going to be Fragrance World's Bearcat Aqua Stellar. So that's the list, man. Definitely let me know what you all thought about this list. Let me know if you all have smelled all of these fragrances, and if so, do you agree? Are these fragrances beast mode on your skin? And definitely let me know if they're not. Also, if you're brand new to the channel, do me a favor, go ahead and subscribe to the channel. And to anyone watching, do me a favor, go ahead and leave a like on the video. And again, that's Jamar from Vegas Scents. I'll see you all in the next video.